All right, what is up, ladies and gents? Let's talk about weapons conditions, okay? Weapons conditions is simply just stating whether or not the weapon system is loaded, partially loaded, or fully loaded. And it's important that you constantly know that because you should always know the condition of your weapon. It's that ever-present kind of golden weapon safety rule. So let's talk a little bit about the different types of weapons conditions as they apply to handguns. Weapons condition 4 means that there is no magazine inserted, no round in the chamber. So there's literally nothing in this weapon right here. It is completely unloaded. It does not matter if the slide is forward or if it's locked to the rear. Condition 4 is no magazine inserted, no round in chamber. And as we go through these, you're going to notice a theme here. Is a magazine inserted? Is a round in the chamber? Magazine round, magazine round. That is super important because when we talk about downloading the firearm or unloading the firearm, we're always going to start with the magazine first, and I'll cover why here in just a second. So condition 4 is what? No magazine inserted, no round in the chamber. Now, condition 3 as it applies to a handgun. A magazine is inserted, but there's still no round in the chamber. Again, these don't matter, ladies and gents, if the slide is forward or to the rear. A magazine is inserted, no round is in the chamber. If I pull the trigger on this thing right now, it will not go off. So, magazine inserted, no round in the chamber. Condition 2 does not apply to striker-fired handguns. However, it does apply to external hammer-fired weapon systems, which we will cover here in just a little bit. Once we get there, though, recognize that a magazine is inserted, round is in chamber, and the hammer is actually forward. When the hammer's forward, it's on a double-action handgun, so condition 2 applies to what? Double-action handguns only. So, condition 2 is magazine inserted, round in the chamber, hammer forward in double action. Now, condition 1. Condition 1 is magazine inserted, round in the chamber. If I pull the trigger on this weapon system, it will go off. And so that is weapons condition 1. Hey, if I pull the trigger, will this thing go off? If you have an external hammer-fired weapon system, magazine inserted, round in the chamber, and the hammer's to the rear in single action. When you have an external hammer on that weapon, and the hammer is in single action, cocked to the rear, that's when condition 1 will apply to those external hammer-fired weapon systems. And so, again, what is condition 1? Magazine inserted, and a round is in the chamber. Now, what if we drop the magazine? So there's no magazine inserted, but there is a round in the chamber. This is still condition 1. Again, think about condition 1 as, if I pull the trigger, will this gun go off? And if the answer is yes, then you need to consider it in condition 1. Now, why is it so important that we say magazine first, then the round in the chamber? Because as we come up on a firearm and we want to ensure that it is cleared, unload, show, clear, which means that the weapon's condition 4 with the slide lock to the rear, unload, show, clear is condition 4 with the slide locked to the rear. We're always going to start first and foremost with the magazine, not the round in the chamber, because if we go to see if there's a round in the chamber and we just go like this and then our hand slips, well, what did we do? We just loaded or reloaded that weapon system. So anytime we are ensuring that the weapon is unloaded or we want to unload, show, clear, we first drop that magazine and then we remove the round from the chamber and then lock that slide to the rear. That's why in all of these weapons conditions, we talk about the magazine first. Is there a magazine inserted? Is there a round in the chamber? Ultimately, we're still going to need to lock that slide back to the rear, unload, show, clear, so no magazine inserted, cool, no rounds in the chamber. But we want to do it in that order because we don't want to get into the habit of pulling that slide to the rear and rechambering rounds or having just bad fundamentals to begin with. So always ensure that the magazine is removed first and then ensure that there is or is not a round in that chamber. So a couple of examples here. Here we just have a very elementary example of, hey, here we have the round, which is also known as a cartridge. We have a loaded magazine. It's not called a clip, guys. Words mean things. Then we have the firearm. Now, when you lock that slide to the rear, you have to look inside and visibly be positive that there is no brass shell casing stuck in that chamber. This does happen sometimes when you get a bad extractor. Extraction is when we're pulling that shell casing or that round out of that chamber and then pushing it out of the gun, which is ejection. We'll cover more about that in nomenclature here in the next module. This is what it'll look like when there is no shell casing, no round in that chamber. And so, as we go into this little demonstration here, what condition is this right here where there's no magazine inserted and there's no round in the chamber? That is right. It is condition 4. What condition is it here when we insert a magazine but there's still no round in the chamber? Condition 3. Here we can see an external hammer-fired weapon system. You see the hammer located here on the outside portion of the back end of this gun. So if we have a magazine inserted and if we have a round in the chamber but that hammer is forward, what condition is this gun? Remember, it's a double action handgun whenever it's loaded and that hammer is forward. So double action pertains to condition 2. Good job. And then lastly here, we have a magazine inserted, we have rounds in the chamber, and on the external hammer-fired weapon system, we have that hammer cocked to the rear in single action. What condition are these guns? That is right, they're in condition 1. Single action, condition 1. Now, what if we have no magazine inserted, but a round in the chamber? That's right, it is still considered condition 1 because if we pull that trigger, the weapon will still go off. And then lastly, what if we have a magazine inserted and then the slide is locked to the rear? Remember, don't overcomplicate this. Keep it very basic and very simple. Magazine inserted, is there a round in the chamber on this gun? Since the answer is no, because the slide is locked to the rear, then we are still going to be in condition 3. Magazine inserted, no round in the chamber. So now what I want you to do is I want you to, with dummy rounds, perform the following skill sets. Provide me with a condition 4 weapon, a condition 3 weapon, condition 2 if it applies to your handgun, and then condition 1, take a video, upload it into the community in the Level 0 handgun community chat, and I will make any sort of corrections if needed, but something tells me you all will be just fine. All right, everyone. See you in the next module.